I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Weather taking a little bit of a backseat on the day thanks to USDA supply and demand report put out there. But you know what? Now that that report is out and done, in the aftermath, people are going to be looking a lot closer at weather over the course of the next few weeks. As we go through the rest of August, very prime conditions in terms of time frame for soybean growth, development, pod set, and such. So, with the million-dollar question being how much rain are we going to get, let's take a look at the latest model runs. Right now, it looks like everything's working out pretty much as we anticipated. Way over the extreme eastern part of the Corn Belt, we got a nice little surface trough, or I should say upper-level trough, digging in. It'll bring cooler than normal temperatures for several days, and it will also lead to drier weather as well, as a nice little surface high kind of slides in underneath. If you're looking for the next chance at precipitation, looks like a frontal boundary is going to start to work into the western part of the Corn Belt during the day on Friday. And it's really not impressive. It was not impressive this morning. It doesn't look any more impressive on the midday model runs. We're going to be seeing a few showers and thunderstorms work into western Iowa, probably through mid-morning, early afternoon. We're going to see a little bit of action in the upper Mississippi Valley, maybe sneaking down to near Lake Michigan during that same time frame. But when I say a little bit, we're talking rains of a quarter of an inch or less. In Iowa, the thunderstorms might produce half an inch. So there's just not a lot of moisture initially. Now, as we go through the weekend, so from like midnight Friday night on through Saturday and into Sunday, we actually do see this frontal boundary kind of blow up a little bit more. At this point, I'm going to continue to roll with what we talked about this morning. Probably all told, as you go from the start of everything Friday through the end of the day Sunday, we're probably going to be looking at rain totals of half to 1.5 inches. I like coverage at about 70% now. I think there's going to be some areas that get missed just because there is going to be somewhat of a thunderstorm nature with action along this front. However, as you then go into the first part of next week, I see a secondary feature coming in behind. So, for example, midnight Sunday night, we're seeing a cluster of thunderstorms coming out of eastern South Dakota into southern Minnesota. So that secondary cluster, I think, is going to be able to work its way to the south and east. And so when you put the two little waves together, so let's just go then from Friday all the way through Wednesday of next week, I'd say you're looking at probably half to 2 inch rain totals with coverage 80 to 90% of the Corn Belt. So there will be nice rains coming through most areas as we go through next week. We'll follow that up with a little bit of a swath of dry air. Another front slides through the upper Midwest around Friday the 22nd into Saturday the 23rd. Could see half to 1.5 inch rains there. Cooler air follows that front as we go into the final week of August. High pressure helps keep things dry. And then around the 25th, 26th, we'll see another front fairly quickly move. It's going to be steered by the jet stream quite nicely. Move across the Corn Belt. Half to 1 inch rain totals there, coverage about 70%. And we could see another strong system coming out of the Canadian prairies and the northern plains around the 28th into the 29th. Models have been struggling with this. A lot of the models are showing that this big upper-level ridge over the western third of the country finally gets hammered down. It's going to take a fairly significant storm complex to do this. And so for the past 4 or 5 model runs, as you go back over the last day and a half, this strong feature's been there. What the problem has been, though, is anytime you find a model that really ties into or tees off on, I guess I should say, a major change in the pattern, it's real squirrely with timing, especially in this far out part of the model runs. We're talking days 15, 16, 14. So it doesn't matter what model it is, you get a little squirreliness there. So at this point, we're just going to continue to look for something probably the middle of that last week of August, whether it's the 27th or whether it's the 30th. I guess it doesn't really matter, but there's going to be a fairly significant storm that comes through. Should have some pretty good teeth to it. I expect a nice front with good thunderstorms, but the key is it'll likely drag the ridge down. So what temperatures are likely going to do is be normal to below normal for several days, warming a little bit next week, and then the secondary front next week cools us off again. As we go into that last week of August, I'm looking for temperatures across the country, not just the Corn Belt, but the country, to work higher as that ridge kind of moves east, gives it one last push before getting hammered down. So above normal there the last week of August, not by much. And you can probably make the argument that it's just normal in a lot of places. And then we're going to be seeing temperatures cool off then at the turn of the month. Other than that, no significant issues arriving on the models right now. We're continuing to watch a tropical system. Whether or not it becomes an organized one or not is yet to be seen. Chances seem to be a little bit low right now. It's near the Cape Verde Islands and moving to the west, of course. Models yesterday were showing this thing turning into a fairly significant hurricane, but staying well off the coast of the United States as we went through the middle and end of next week. Today, they're not showing that as much, so I think there's some argument as to whether that thing can get going or not. We will see a couple more Pacific systems, but they are not at all going to be curving north, so there's no influx of moisture coming into California or the desert Southwest either in the weeks ahead. Basically, over the west, to get good moisture in there, what we've got to see is this ridge get hammered down and stay down, and that will allow better frontal boundaries to come into the Pacific Northwest and eventually the West Coast on the whole. So that's what we've got here at Midday. If you've got any questions, give us a call at Allendale. We'll set you straight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.